In one word, what does International Women's Day mean to you?
Progress.
Community.
Awareness.
Voice.
Resilience.
Recognition.
Sisterhood.
Respect.
Progress.
Inspiring.
Accelerate action.
When you were growing up, what did you aspire to be? And how has that evolved to where you want to be now?
Well, when I was really young, I wanted to be a nurse like my mum. But then our love of drawing and Lego took hold. And in the 70s, Dad was building our new home. So there's always house plans lying about, which I love to play with. So I knew from a young age that I wanted to be an architect and build homes.
I didn't really have any definitive aspirations about what I wanted to be when I grew up, but what I did have was support and encouragement to aim high. And that gave me the confidence to know that I could achieve whatever it was that I wanted to do.
You know what it's about? Just working with people. So it's not like what I wanted to be, it's just where you've ended up. But in that aspect, it's just all about people.
When I was growing up, I actually wanted to do everything creative. So I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to work in film and television. That then developed into something that I was just naturally quite good at, which was working in operations. So I've worked in operations in retail and then make it a conscious choice to get out of retail and into construction.
I'm the only child of migrant parents, and my dad was a builder. He's retired now. So I used to tag along in the 70s and 80s in his youth. You know, it became ingrained in me that, you know, I wanted to be a builder. So he used to plonk me on some of the job sites and I'd just find sticks and bits of brick and stuff and, you know, make my own little mini houses. I used to love it. I used to go measure door widths, you know, so I knew then I wanted to go into construction. And at the time, I suppose in the 80s, you know, it wasn't sexy to be a builder as a girl. And my dad actually didn't want me to go into construction. So I sort of honed in on architecture and I thought that's more of a sort of, you know, professional type career. Still gets me into building.
So I left school 20 years ago when I graduated, and being a carpenter was something that one of the things that I thought I would be good at and wanted to have a go at. 20 years ago there wasn't too many women kicking around in the building industry, so I found it quite hard to get an apprenticeship then. Applied for a few with no success, and then there seemed to be a few women starting to do landscaping, so I jumped into the landscaping field. I went back and studied building construction, landed an office job, which was it was good. Then fast forward, COVID hit and got the push to go follow my dreams, and it seemed to be more and more females getting into the industry. So I applied for, over like 50 apprenticeships to see if I can get one, and was lucky enough to score one, and now 4 years later, qualified chippy and have really found where I should have been.
How have you overcome any challenges as a woman in the construction industry?
Belief. You really have to believe in yourself. And then just tackling the task at hand in small bite pieces.
I think you're absolutely right. It's belief in yourself.
Yeah,
it's making sure that you are really true to your values. It's making sure that you back yourself and acting with integrity and, you know, backing up your words with action.
Ensuring that I'm being included in conversations, and I'll admit, particularly in the beginning, I was guilty of excluding myself and sitting back and staying quiet. And even now, sometimes I still have to remind myself to use my voice, because my opinions and ideas and my voice have value.
I've seen and heard it all from the men are talking to who's the bird. I think the assumption is often that the female on site is just the assistant.
In order to deal with that, I am always reminding myself that I'm the architect or the registered builder on site. I don't need to overcome their outdated mindset that's the thing that's going to leave them behind.
I actually find myself really lucky and fortunate to be a part of the construction industry. I think with any career, any, decision you make in life, there's always challenges, and I think that's the bit that makes you stronger. And what I struggled with early days, and something that I really had to overcome, was belief in myself and belief in my own style, that I didn't have to replicate or mirror those around me, that my style, even if it was different to my colleagues, is still as effective, if not more.
What are the most significant barriers to creating a more inclusive environment for women in the construction industry? How can the industry address these challenges better?
For my environment, being a carpenter on site, I barely see a female throughout the year. I might get a handful every now and then. I think to have a more inclusive environment would be to have more women, really. And I think how we can achieve that is just by, bosses giving the opportunity for women to interview, to have a go, to have a trial.
What I would like to see is more females in senior leadership roles. The next generation seeing senior people in leadership roles will be so effective in helping us deal with that inclusive environment issue.
Something I actually encountered myself was flexibility, right? Particularly for women working on site, tradies, that sort of genre of women. And having children, and I say this, and I don't, by no means, this is a decision I made myself, but I had a cesarean with my youngest. 6 weeks after I had him, I went back to work full time, because I knew if I didn't, I'd miss out on the next job, because I would be benchmarked against my male peers, and they'd say she's weak, she's a mother, she's not stable, and she's a flight risk. I had to show them, right, that I wasn't, and I had to go back to work. I put my son into care. It's a hard decision as a mother to make, and it's not fair. It's not fair on families that they have to make that compromise, and I think that one of the biggest things that we should be looking at changing, and evolving, is that notion of what a work week looks like for different people, whether it's a male parent, female parent, doesn't matter.
We have actually made amazing advances in the way that we treat women in this industry, and I think Master Builders is a very good example of that, having senior women in senior leadership positions. That said, of course, we still have a really long way to go. We're still a predominantly male workforce. I think that education is really, really important. I think mentorship programs are incredibly important, and I think that having the opportunity to give young kids a view of what a career in the construction industry could look like is really important.
One of the barriers is a lack of knowledge of what the construction industry actually is. If you ask most people what's building or construction, they'll say it's the stuff that the trades do on site, when in actual fact, although that's the physical outcome of our industry, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. It's so much more than that. And I think that educating the general public about how much bigger the industry is than the bit that happens on site will encourage people into the industry, into roles that they didn't even realise were construction industry roles.
What strategies have you used to balance the demands of the construction field while advancing your career and supporting others in the industry? Do you have any advice for others in this area?
I think the battle of balancing home and work life is definitely not something that I'd say I've nailed totally. It's a work in progress, and I think the more experience I get, the better I get at it. Some advice for others would be to love what you do, or find elements of your job or your career that you love, because I think with passion it all becomes a bit easier.
So having studied my diploma at night school while working full-time, I found that it was really helpful and important to utilise the resources around me. And if I'm not sure of something, ask questions, because I'm surrounded by a wealth of knowledge.
I educated myself, right? And that was another big one, where I found that education was a really strong tool and a lever for me to get my foot in the door.
Believe in yourself and make sure that you are true to your values and making sure that you are aware of your own abilities, but also at the same time willing to push yourself just to the point of feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can quite do this or not. That's where the growth happens, and that's where the learning happens.
Things are changing. And I think to progress even further, we just need to keep reminding ourselves of how capable we really are to try new things, and that breeds confidence, and then you have confidence to try new things and advance in the industry. It's self-fulfilling, and men have known this for years.
First part of it was trying to prove that I belong here and that I can, I can make it in this industry. And now knowing that that's something that I can do, it's more trying to showcase to others that if I can do it, you can do it too. I can be a chippy, I can be a mum, I can be a daughter, a sister, a wife, all of those things and still succeed in this industry. Then why can't you? I think it's so important to just keep showing the next wave of women that they can have a go and succeed in it and be successful.